Hello, Adonim Shel HaMishnah. I'm about to sing and explain the two Mishnayot on our upcoming test. First, I will explain Masechet Brachot, Perek Vav, Mishnah Aleph. Now, this is the Mishnah which is labeled in your binder as Mishnah 8. So, in this Mishnah, we learn about how we bless fruits and also vegetables. And we will learn that there are two exceptions, and we will also learn what halakhically qualifies as an etz, a tree. So now I will sing it and then explain it. Ketzad mevarchin al perot hailan omer borei pri haetz chutz min hayayin shel hayayin omer borei peri hagafen ve'al perot haaretz omer borei peri haadama chutz min hapad shel hapad hu omer hamotzi lechem min haaretz ve'al hayerakot omer borei peri haadama Ribi Yehuda Omer borei minei deshayim. So first our Mishnah asks, Ketzad mevarchin al haperot, how do we bless fruits? And the Mishnah is going to give us a list of rules and exceptions. Now, we are clued in that we're going to see a rule when the Mishnah says al, and that we are clued in that we're about to see an exception when it says chutz, which means except for. So now our first rule is al perot hailan omer borei peri haetz. On fruit of a tree, a person says borei peri haetz. The issue is not whether it is a fruit, it is whether it is the fruit of a tree. Now, according to Halakha, an etz, or in Mishnah Hebrew, an ilan, is a plant which lives over a year and that is at least 9 inches tall. Next, we are going to see an exception. And the Mishnah says, Chutz min hayayin, shel hayayin omer, borei peri hagafen. Except for on wine, because on wine, a person says, borei pri hagafen. Now, the reason why yain is an exception is because the rabbis thought that wine was so important, so special and holy, that it deserves its own bracha. So if we didn't have this Mishnah, you would have said on wine, borei pri haetz, because a vine, according to Halakha, qualifies as a tree. Next, the Mishnah tells us another rule. Ve'al perot haaretz omer borei peri haadama. And on fruit of the ground, say borei pri haadama. So this is talking about fruits or vegetables which have seeds and that do not grow on a tree. So, for example, tomatoes, pumpkins, and watermelons, according to the stam of the Mishnah, we say borei peri ha'adama. Now we're going to see an exception. Chutz min hapad shel hapad hu omer hamotzi lechem min haaretz, except for on bread, because on bread we say hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Now, if I didn't have a Mishnah telling us that I say hamotzi, then you may have thought that you either say on pot, on bread, either maybe mezonot or borei pri ha'adama. So again, because bread, it was so important, especially in the ancient world, It was the essential part of a meal. Therefore, a person says hamotzi. Lechem, bread, gets its own bracha. Next, the Mishnah says, Ve'al hayerakot omer borei peri ha'adama. And on vegetables without seeds, the Stam tells us, you also say borei peri ha'adama. Now the Stam is willing to be calling even yerakot, vegetables without seeds, a pri, and therefore he says, say borei peri ha'adama. Now we are going to see someone who will argue on this opinion, and it'll be Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda Omer borei mine deshaim. So Rabbi Yehuda says, you say borei mine deshaim. He is calling yerakot, vegetables without seeds, to be more like a grass. Meaning he's saying you should not say on vegetables without seeds borei pri ha'adama, because they are not a pri. Okay, so now I will go on to explain Mishnah number 9. This is the other Mishnah on the test. It is Brachot, Perek Vav, Mishnah Gimel. Okay, so now I will sing it and then explain it. Al davar she'en gidula min haaretz omer she'akol al hachometz v'al hanovlot v'al hagovai omer she'akol al hechalav v'al hagvina v'al habeitzim omer she'akol. Rabbi Yehuda Omer kol shehu min klala ein mevarchin alav. So now if you want, you're able to pause it and then you can all sing it. But now I will explain it. So our Mishnah says, Al davar she'ein gidula min haaretz, on anything which is not growing from the ground, say she'akol. Ve'al hachometz, vinegar. Ve'al hanovlot, on unripe fruits. Ve'al hagovai, and on grasshoppers, say she'akol. And the reason why these are all grouped together as one is because they're all foods which are either in their ideal state, or not in their ideal state, or they just don't taste good. The average person wouldn't want to be eating them. And that is why we say on them she'akol, because vinegar is sometimes spoiled wine or spoiled apple juice. It depends on what kind it is. But now the Stam is saying you should say on it she'akol, because even if maybe you don't want to eat it, maybe someone out there would appreciate it. And also, it is still one of God's creations. And therefore, you should even say a bracha on these quote-unquote yucky foods. Now, we are going to see Rabbi Yehuda argue. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol shehu min klala, ein mevarchin alav. Rabbi Yehuda says, on anything which is a cursed species, min klala, meaning bad food, ein mevarchin alav, do not say a blessing on it. So, even though the Mishnah is not telling us why, but I think Rabbi Yehuda's reasoning is that when you are dealing with foods that are not good, he doesn't think that you should have to thank God for it. So now I will just briefly go over all of the rules of she'akol that we just learned in this Mishnah. So first of all, on spoiled foods, you say she'akol, and also on anything which doesn't grow from the ground, you say she'akol, And now I will tell you two more rules about she'akol that are not in the Mishnah. It is that anything which has lost its original appearance, you say she'akol. And the reason is that perhaps after it has lost its original appearance, you may not identify it properly. And so you may think that it's something which is ha'etz, but it's really something else. And therefore, you should say it as she'akol, because she'akol, which means everything, counts as a mitzvah, b'di'evet, for anything. Now I will go over the rules of borei pri ha'etz and borei pri ha'adama. Now we say borei pri ha'etz on anything which grows on something which is halakhically a tree. So meaning that it lives over a year and that it is at least 9 inches tall. Now you say borei pri ha'adama when something grows on a plant which is not halakhically a tree, but yet it has to get its nutrients from the ground. Therefore, for example, you do not say on mushrooms borei pri ha'adama, because they are a fungus and not a plant. They do not get their nutrients from the ground. They get their nutrients from dead, decaying matter, either on the surface of the ground or in the air. Okay? Go Adonim Shel HaMishnah.